A warm welcome to our conversation of today for the Circle of Resilience. And as you can see a little bit, it's dark here, but it's very light over in Tasmania, Australia, where I get to meet with Mandy. I will tell you a little bit about her later, but we start off with taking a moment to breathe into ourselves. One of our other guests had this beautiful saying of breathing me into me. And I love that. So I, I remind myself about that. So breathing me into me. And what helps me is to use my hands, um, like warm them up a little bit, get some energy going. Kind of wakes me up again. And then you just put your hands wherever you want them on your body. And I love imagining that my hands give me like the support and the love that I need, just by making myself aware. And then you bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly, to your womb space. And we'll take some conscious breaths together. And with the first one, you just feel into what is pulling you toward the past. Maybe something somebody said or a thing you should have done and you didn't do, or something you should not have done and you did do. And then you release. And the second breath, you feel into what is pulling you towards the future. Can be anything that comes to mind. And you release. And the third breath that we take together is about really celebrating breathing in this moment in time. Because whenever you listen to this recording, you're breathing in this moment in time. I sometimes love thinking of a color that fills me up with my breath. Like, a nice golden yellow, or a white, or a soft green for compassion and kindness. And then you also release this breath. And then in your own time, you slowly start moving your fingers and your toes a little bit. Open your eyes when you're ready for it. And then I light a candle for us, because I'm really happy that we're doing this conversation. And Yeah, so for the joy that we share and the courage that we share on our path, we're both, making changes in our lives and we're supporting each other in that. So it's a candle for that. And for you who's listening, thank you for making the time, for being here, for showing up. And I think there's so many people in the world ready to show up. They're already doing it, or they're feeling the pull of, oh, I want something different. I want to contribute. I want to be there with my heart and soul. So, for all those people, so we know that we're not alone. And there's this web of light all around the globe. And this is one of them. Mm. Yeah. It always helps me. When it's already later at night, I think, I need to remember everything. And then when I do this, I go like, oh yeah, I'm here. I'm showing up. The showing up is so important. Yeah. So I'm really happy to share with you that Mandy is joining us. And we met in Hawaii last year. Well, we kind of met. We saw each other, but we didn't really speak that much. And then we ended up in the inner circle with Amber. And yeah, we answered each other's call for a accountability buddy, or celebration buddy is a nicer word, but to help each other, how do we follow through with, all these new steps that we're taking in our creativity. And I just love the fact that you're from Australia, because I've lived there when I was younger, and so it's always a special place in my heart. And we just really we match. We have we're I love how we can have the same kind of energy, and we really like cheer each other on, and you are way better in the painting and everything, because you've done it so much more already. You kind of discovered it earlier. But I love how you, yeah, how you're not, mm, how do I say that, um, but you have a beginner's mind, and I love people that have a beginner's mind, you know because then the world, keeps opening up in wonder. And then when you think you know it all, you kind of go like this, but you have this kind of, yeah, you can be really, surprised by the gifts of life. Yeah.
There's always more to explore and more to, delve into within the art and
Yeah.
within life really.
Mm,
So
yeah, very much. Yeah. So I like that. And I think that we are also really good at holding space for each other when things are a little rough. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. And
Yeah.
it must be our 12-month anniversary from meeting
Yeah.
somewhere around this time, because it was March, I think, that we started to
Yeah.
um, delve into the inner circle and, yeah, what they called accountability buddies. But, we've developed a beautiful friendship in that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. 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 So for me, it was kind of really logical that you would be part of this circle. Um, because I think that you also, yeah, you show me how, our lives have been very different, but you show me how you have really brought resilience into practice in your own life. And it's not been like this, it's been a process. And
Mm.
yeah, I think, yeah, I would love to hear more about that if you want to share.
Mm. I've always been interested in arts and crafts, and but I think life sort of got in the way and I put a lot of stuff aside. And I think specifically the painting side of things, I discovered that it helped calm me.
Mm.
And the more that I started to listen to that, the more I realised that this was doing more than just putting paint on a canvas or on paper. It was doing something in my heart and in my head. And so I started to really, instead of just, trying to copy what other people might be doing or seeing something I like and trying to replicate it, I started to actually do a meditation beforehand and listen to what picture or think about the pictures that were coming into my head and trying to put those down on the canvas. And I couldn't always understand what it was or where it was coming from. I just knew that it needed to come out. And
Mm.
the more I trusted, I saw a huge change in my paintings. And that's really sort of, yeah, been an amazing journey in that itself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how we can talk about, how the painting talks to you. Then you
Yeah.
have to listen, you know. And it's certainly
Mm.
not something that I learned growing up, that was a way to relate to maybe anything really, you know,
No,
that you could have a
no.
relation with that. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's nice to, yeah, to explore that, to realize, okay, that but there's more, than putting the paint on the paper, but also more to, this mm, s- like you don't, like there's more in between heaven and earth. I don't. That's the English
Mm.
expression, right? Yeah.
Mm.
And so, but it's not a strict religious kind of thing anymore. It is
Mm.
much more a personal experience of this awareness, or um, this realization that you are guided, kind of.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. I grew up with a very Christian religious background, and but it was, attending church and always being fearful that, God would persecute me for doing the wrong thing. And as I got older, I started to want to question, like why is, God so loving and caring in some ways, but he's going to, like send me to hell if I do the wrong thing.
Mm.
And it created quite a conflict within me, and I didn't like it. And in the finish, I turned my back on that sort of religion because it just didn't fit right with me. And it wasn't until, oh golly, well, I was well and truly married and I had young children, and I kept running into the same group of women in a town 20 kilometres away from me that thought about things a little bit different. And they were into tarot cards and they were into meditation and they were into a few different things. And they'd formed a meditation group. And I said, well, could I come along? So I was invited into their group and started attending that. And I think that's when I started to find that there was a different spirituality apart from a church-based religion.
Mm.
And that certainly changed my life for the better. And I was very green and very new to it all, but over time that's developed and I have learnt to listen more and trust. I used to say, oh, I can't do that, or, I don't know how to do this. But little by little I've learnt and built upon each step along the way.
Mm.
And and just kept listening and kept trusting too that, okay, I'll try this and see what happens.
Mm.
And most of the time it works out okay. Sometimes I think, oh, okay, no, it didn't quite work or it didn't sit right with me. And that's how we evolve and how we learn.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. And it helps if you have this attitude of there's no mistakes really. It's
That's
just
it. Yes, it's
trying.
learning.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can imagine that the turning your back towards religion and how you were brought up was not an easy thing. It was, yeah. Uh,
No, and my family were very upset with me too. Um, I remember when I first decided to move out of home, I wasn't married yet, I was 21 and yeah, my parents were extremely upset with me because in their mind, you didn't leave the family home until you were married.
yeah.
And yeah, so it was that side of it became really difficult. And my dad actually, he didn't speak to me for about a month and a half when
Mm.
I moved out. He wouldn't even come and have a look at my flat. Um, he was just absolutely distraught. And I really didn't understand it at that age. I just couldn't understand what on earth is their problem. Like I was finding that I wanted to um, cook meals and things like that, and try a few different things that I wasn't allowed to while I was at home. So I felt that I really wanted to explore things further, but just couldn't. And yeah, but I did start attending church when my first son was born, and I think I cried nearly the whole service. I just felt in within my heart that I had come home.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so I stayed with that for probably 2.5 to 3 years in that church before I realised it's not the church, it's not the people here. I didn't feel a connection with them, but it was that spirit or that God connection that I really craved.
Mm.
And I did get that back when I started doing the meditation. And even this last year, I was away somewhere and I was walking down the street and I saw a church building and it said that it was open for anybody to just walk in and say a prayer or, just to spend some time in. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take time to do this.
Mm.
And I walked into that church building and I sat down at one of the pews and I thought, I don't need the building anymore.
Mm.
I thought I can get that connection to God and to spirit just sitting out in nature. It was a beautiful building and I really admired all the beautiful windows and everything, but I didn't feel that real heart connection like I had done in the past. So I just realised that that connection can come from anywhere. You don't have to be in a church. That's for me anyway.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm in a church, um, you can feel that a lot of beautiful things have happened
Hmm.
there, and it's kind of that energy is still there. But I've also been into churches where I thought, oh, it's been really heavy here.
Hmm.
A lot of, you know, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. And you kind of come out of that church. Well, at least me, I just,
Hmm.
I absorb
Hmm.
everything now. But, I can really feel it. And then I just, yeah, it's not a nice place to be.
No.
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 Mm.
Hmm.
So how does your your connection to spirit, and that and that link to creativity, how does that mm, work for you if we talk about resilience? How does that fit together for you?
I think for me that connection to spirit has certainly buoyed me up and helped me get through a lot of stuff from my past. I've yeah, I love to do meditations now and try to do that on a daily basis, and certainly notice the difference, because having that connection and knowing that, there's someone there looking after me all the time, certainly helps me get through each day.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say on that.
Yeah.
I think having a toolbox of things that, you know that bring you joy and make you feel loved, I suppose. Yeah, it certainly helps. And part of that, just knowing that there's something out there that speaks to up here and to the heart. And I don't understand everything that comes out onto my canvas,
Mm.
but I just know that it's shared with love and um, the best of intentions. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought what came up for me was the um mm, how do I say that? The I lost my words now. That's really good.
Well,
uh,
you're channeling me, but
yeah,
we've both lost our words.
yeah, that might well be. No, I thought maybe it would be nice to share something about um, how resilience has really been part of your journey, that you have had to practice resilience so that this little part that we talked about before, that it didn't just happen.
No.
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 Oh, you've really had
Mm,
some time to practice resilience.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
I only started painting in about 2012. That was when I picked up the paintbrush for the first time and really started to listen that something had to come out. Um, Prior to that, in 1995, um, I developed a workplace injury, and also during that time, I got a phone call from my sister to say that my father had been diagnosed with bowel cancer. They'd admitted him immediately to the hospital and were removing his bowel the next day. That really rocked me and really tore me apart. At that time, I didn't have a toolbox of things to call upon. I was still, in my early 20s. Um, I hadn't had to deal with anything that hard before.
Mm.
And so I had no learning capabilities. I turned my back on the church, so I didn't have that to fall back on. However, I did sit and pray, and start, asking God, please, don't take my dad. He's way too young. Don't take him now. And each time, oh, that's right, the injury was actually after Dad's diagnosis. So they'd removed his bowel and he did recover from that. But it was about 2 years to the date of his operation. The doctors discovered that he had many cancers throughout his body. And yeah, and it was at that time that I had the workplace injury. And each time that I had bad news about my injury, that, you know, that they couldn't find a way to make it better. They didn't know how to cure it. It was just going to take time. We tried different ways of trying to treat it, and different tasks in the workplace that I could try and do to not make it worse. But each time I got bad news about that, I also got bad news about Dad's health, that he had deteriorated, or something else had cropped up with his health, that he was extremely ill. Dad fought like I've never seen anybody fight, suffering from cancer. And I think he battled for about, it was well over 12 months. The day that I actually was laid off from my job, I was too terrified to even answer the phone, because the way things had gone, every time I got bad news about my injury, we got bad news about Dad. And the day I was laid off, I was too terrified to answer the phone, because I was scared that it was going to be a phone call to say that he had died. But he didn't. And the doctors had told us that he wouldn't be around for Christmas. We got to the 1st of December and I started thinking, oh, the doctors are wrong. And it was Mum and Dad's wedding anniversary on the 1st of December. It was Dad's birthday on the 2nd of December. He turned 59 that year. On the 3rd of December, I signed the release papers for my job, and I got a small compensation. On the 5th of December, my dad passed away. And I was just so totally shattered and totally wrecked. The next day I was hanging washing out on the clothesline, and I had tears just streaming down my face. And a ladybird landed on my hand, and it was like, oh, I took it that it was a message from Dad. And I just looked to the stars and to the sky, and I just said, thank you, Dad, I really needed that. Yeah. And then about a year later, I think it was about a year later, I fell pregnant and I miscarried. But I didn't actually know that I was pregnant until afterwards, from the cramps and everything. I suffered another 2 miscarriages after that. And then the 4th pregnancy, I was convinced that I had miscarried again, but I didn't. But it wasn't till much later on that I actually found out I was carrying twins, and I miscarried one of them. Yeah. So then my beautiful baby boy was born. He arrived 3 weeks early, and I should have been absolutely overjoyed and thrilled, and I was, but something had happened, and I don't think that I had fully gotten over Dad's death, my workplace injury, all the miscarriages, and it all became way too much, and I suffered postnatal depression. I wouldn't accept that diagnosis, and I sort of struggled on as much as I could, but I wasn't doing very well. And by the time that my son was 9 months old, I was actually forced between the child health nurse um, and my husband and the GP. They put me on antidepressants. And I think the thing that ripped me apart the most was that I felt like they were taking my son away from me. They made me put him in daycare 2 days a week so that to give me a rest and to give me time to do things for myself. But I think all I did was just moped around the house. I didn't know how to cope still.
Yeah.
Mm. And then a year and a half later, I found out I was pregnant again. And I think I cried for 2 weeks when I found out I was pregnant, because I didn't know how on earth I was going to cope with 2 children.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm barely coping with one. How on earth can I cope with 2? And my first baby was not an easy baby. He had feeding issues, and he cried nearly all day and all night because he was hungry, and we didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I didn't know what a good baby was like, or a well baby was like. And I thought, God, surely God wouldn't do this to me twice. And when my second baby came along, he was an absolute gem. He ate, he slept, he was a perfect textbook baby. But a few months later, it was like I hit the wall again. I went into that dark pit, and all I wanted to do was cry. I didn't want to get out of bed. I couldn't cope. So again, both boys were then going to daycare 2 days a week, and I went back onto antidepressants, and that became uh, something that stayed with me for quite a few years. I would get off the antidepressants, and around December, about the anniversary of my dad's passing, I would crash again, and I'd have to go back onto antidepressants and try and find ways of managing.
Yeah.
And I think it was about 12 years after my dad had passed, I finally said, I've had enough of this. This is just insane. I don't want to live my life anymore like this. This is not healthy. I'm not moving forward. I'm losing so much joy, like this is not right. So I went to my doctor and I said, okay, I said, I'm not doing very well at the moment, but I said, I've had enough. I don't want to go on antidepressants. What are my other options?
Mm.
And he's like, oh, okay. And he said, how about you go and see a psychologist? And I said, well, if it's going to help and stop me from going on antidepressants again, then yep, okay, I'll give it a go. And I was actually pleasantly surprised, because I thought, oh, I'm just going to go there and wallow and tell her all about all the negative stuff that's happened in my life, and but I want to move forward. I don't want to do all that. She was actually really quite refreshing in the way, in her approach, in making me think about what is it in the depression that I didn't like. And I said, well, I develop a short fuse and I'm really angry with everybody and everything, and I just snap, and and I don't like that. And she said, well, where do you feel it? It's like, what? What do you mean, where do I feel it? This. Anyway, I kept at it with her, and I found that it really helped.
Mm.
And yeah, I did slide back a couple of times, but from then on, and my dad's been gone 25 years now, so I've had a long journey of learning and developing things that have helped me. But once I discovered painting, that opened up the doors so much. it's been a way of me expressing my feelings onto paper and onto canvas and keeping the joy in my life.
Mm.
And I do still have moments every now and then where I'm not feeling so great, but they don't last like they used to. And I can get myself out by spending time with my friends, meditating and connecting with the angels.
Yeah.
And yeah, and painting and joyfully sharing that.
Mm.
Mm.
I love when I'm listening to you, I can feel how you have really, like, you've made a decision at some point, like enough is enough. And then you've started filling your medicine basket. We were just talking about it,
Yes.
so your toolbox or whatever you want to call it. And it's been like, and it's still growing, it's
Mm.
still, yeah, you're still adding to it, and you're still, and you're using it. It's not like, oh yeah, there's a toolbox and I only use it when I need it, but you use
Mm.
like on a daily basis. It's a, the meditations are not only when you're feeling not good,
Mm.
you just, yeah, it's become a way of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's even on the days if I am really struggling, just remembering to breathe.
Mm.
And, I'll quite often go out and just stand on the grass and just breathe and think, like I am here, I am loved, it's, yeah, it's great. And bringing gratitude into and remembering all of the beautiful things in my life that I'm so incredibly grateful for.
Mm.
And that does help on really, on the days that aren't so great.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the biggest things too has been the discovery of angelic Reiki.
Yeah.
That has been a fabulous tool also. Either doing a self healing for myself or doing one for somebody else, either in person or via distance. It's the immense joy and love that I feel, that beautiful loving energy from the angels just fills my heart so much. And so yeah, that's another thing in my medicine basket or my toolbox.
Yeah, like
Yes,
medicine basket is nicer, huh? It's a
it
nice,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, more feminine, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
The toolbox is for the fellas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But it's, yeah, I like that. The how resilience becomes a way of life. That you practice it, and then when, like today, we had elections in the Netherlands, and they were kind of rough for me to see that, some of the politics that I just don't agree with are leading. And I felt
Mm.
really sad this morning. And then, but then I also know that, okay, the sadness, just bring it on. So I'm crying, in the shower. I'm just crying, crying, crying. And then, something, and then it opens up again. And I think, oh yeah, but I'm going to I'm going to do some painting. I'm going to do some writing. I'm going to go outside and have a walk. And, and to kind of, but I could not have done that if I don't practice it on the days that life is actually really good. It's
Mm.
not,
Mm.
it's not like a plaster, like a band-aid. It's not a
Mm.
band-aid. It's just like,
Oh,
it's my vitamins, you know. And
yes.
yeah, I take them every day. And then so on a day like this, when it just was pretty heavy, and I can also come back to this space where I go like, okay, so oh yeah, now I'm back in the middle,
Mm.
you know, and
Mm.
yeah, life is showing itself. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah. And then I sometimes forget that I can ask for support from the angels, or from like, what's behind me or above or below. I sometimes forget that. And I have this
Absolutely.
moment that I think, oh God, I have to do it all by myself. I have to also, al- become back aligned back into myself. And I need to do that all by myself. So it's nice that you mentioned the angelic Reiki. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Now, yeah, if you open up, life shows you all these little signs, a feather or something
Yes,
beautiful, or somebody says something, or a poem, or a song on the radio, and there's all these little signs that you can say they're just a coincidence, but you can also say, well, that's the wonder of life. I kind of like the last one better.
yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think, as you mentioned, feathers. Um, that's a huge one for me to recognise that, okay, the angels are there, they're looking after me, they're letting me know that we're here, we're supporting you, we're caring for you. And I notice them when I've got a change happening in my life, and it's like, oh, it's very easy to fall into, oh my goodness, like, what's going on here? How do I cope with this? And it's like, oh, there's a feather, and like I picked something up the other day at work, and it's like, there's a feather in my office. This is just a bit weird, like, they come up in the strangest places, and I always pick them up and I say, thank you, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I love watching behind you, your painting with all the feathers. And it's like,
Yes,
ah, just opening up to it,
that's it.
really receiving it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, acceptance.
Yeah.
Acceptance of, what messages I'm receiving, and acceptance of the gifts that, I've had bestowed upon me.
Mm,
So yes. Mm.
beautiful. Yeah.
Mm.
So, is there something else you would like to share about resilience, or about how you look at life, before you are going to take us into a beautiful meditation?
I think just practicing, like finding things that bring you joy,
Mm,
that really, really spark for you. For me, it's the painting. For others, it could be needlepoint. It could be bushwalking. You need to find those things that work for you, and a range of things, so that you've got all, activities for all kinds of weather. And they don't have to be reliant on somebody else to supply it for you, that you can do these things by yourself, and for yourself. And yeah, so I think just having, and just practice it on a regular basis, because that's how habits are formed, is by practicing on a regular basis.
mm,
And the more you do it, the more you'll find what things work for you.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like, when we started the Circle of Resilience, we did the opening, and we did one of the exercises we've done with Amber as well. We changed it a little bit, but the good, better, best, where you like, the good is like something you can do in 2 or 3 minutes. You
Yes,
know? So something for your body. What can you do? You're looking after your body in 2 or 3 minutes, and that's good. It's not
yes,
that should be better, more, whatever. No, that's good.
yes,
And I love that, because it reminds me every time that, oh, I can make it big and far away, and then I'm never going to get there, because I always, whenever take 2 steps, the thing also takes 2 steps, because I make it
mm,
big and far away. And so, but to keep it small, and to indeed pick up a card, or do just do a funny dance, on your
Yes.
own, or you
Yeah.
know, just, yeah, I don't know, smile in the mirror. There's so many things that can, that can
Give
bring you joy.
yourself a hug.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm.
Or even,
Mm.
the breathing. Yeah. It's,
Yes. Mm.
yeah.
I made up a set of cards, and I did them in shapes of hearts. And, on that theme of the small hearts were things that you could do in just, 1 or 2 minutes, like your breath, or making a favourite beverage, like a herbal tea, or a cup of coffee, something special just for you, or a hot chocolate. And the medium-sized hearts were things that, might take 15 minutes to half hour or so.
Yeah.
Even going for a walk, and things like that. And then I had bigger hearts that could have been, if you've got a whole, like a half a day or a full day, what sort of things could you do? Maybe take yourself to a museum or an art gallery, have a warm soaking bath, and, do a manicure or a pedicure for yourself, things that take a bit longer, or, a trip out to the beach, or, yeah. But it was just, and those cards are a reminder, if I'm and I want to do something, some self-care things, I don't have to think about it. I can just look at those and say, oh, okay, I can do that,
Yeah.
you know. And yeah, so that's been a beautiful tool for me as well.
Yeah. We actually wrote them in the book.
Yes,
This is the one, the Dutch version. And
yes.
then I look at it, and it's like, yeah. So, for example, I love lighting a candle, and
Mm,
so this one is about the relations, and I love lighting a candle and thinking of, okay, so I have a friend whose mom, she's very sick, and another friend whose dad is very sick, and then I just light the candle, and I just kind of, take a moment to take them with me in lighting the candle. And
yes,
it's so simple, but and then I so often get a WhatsApp message from them, like right, straight after. It's like, oh yeah, we are energy, so it moves.
yeah,
And we don't have
mm,
to, I don't have to write them a letter to let them know I think about you. I can light a candle, and then somehow it
mm,
kind of, ripples out. Yeah. Yeah,
yes,
so I love those reminders to, yeah. Yeah.
yes. Mm.
Yeah, so your meditation is going to be one of the things people can put in their medicine basket.
Absolutely,
Please.
yes. So
Okay.
it's only a shorter one, but yeah. You ready to go?
I am ready.
Okay. So just settle yourself down, and if you'd like to lie down on the floor, for those listening, please lie down. Just get yourself comfortable, or otherwise just get yourself comfortable in your chair. And close your eyes down, and I just invite you to take a deep breath in, just to release anything from the past, the before now, and let it go. And take another beautiful big breath in, and release any thoughts of what you've got to do after this moment or after today, and let it go. And take another deep breath in, and really just think about the now, and say to yourself, this is my time for relaxation. I give myself permission to relax fully, and let that breath go. And bring your awareness to your feet, down to your toes, and just let them relax. The tops of your feet and the soles and the heels of your feet, and just relax. You may feel it like a warm energy or a tingling energy just creeping up the body, but just go with whatever feels right for you. This relaxing energy is slowly travelling up your legs, past your knees, through your upper legs and into your hip area where it just swirls around gently. Now allow that energy to go up your spine very slowly and around your rib cage, travelling up and up to the base of your neck. Now feel that energy move across your shoulders and down into your arms, down to the elbows, to the wrists, the palms of your hands, your thumbs, first finger, second finger, third finger, and pinky finger. Both hands totally relaxed. The energy now moves back up to your shoulders where it just swirls around there for a moment. Both arms are totally relaxed. Now going back across to your neck, just allow that energy to move up your neck and up the back of your head. When it reaches the top of your head, you'll feel like a beautiful golden waterfall of brilliant white light start to flow down from above. This will flow down across your forehead and swirl around all the tiny little muscles around your eyes, down your cheeks and your nose, flowing down across your chin. It'll continue to flow down across your throat and into your heart. Now just imagine a little vessel, a little bowl that's sitting in the centre of your heart. And this golden light is just flowing into that bowl. Beautiful, beautiful white, warm light, starting to expand bigger from your heart. It's grown bigger and bigger, and now forming a beautiful bubble around your whole body. Just imagine your whole entire body is floating within this bubble of light. It is warm, it is soft, and it fills your heart with joy and love. Now this bubble is starting to shrink. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's like a little marble that is now sitting in the palms of your hands. I want you to take this little marble, which is full of warmth, full of joy, and full of love, and just tuck that back into your heart space. You now have that bubble to carry with you for the rest of the day or at any times that you need to call upon for extra support in your day. It's time to come back now, but just know that you've always got that beautiful marble of joy and love within your heart, accessible whenever you need it. It's part of your medicine bowl or your toolbox. So as you come back, just wiggle your toes and wiggle your fingers. Take a couple breaths to bring yourself back to the room. Open your eyes when you're ready. Now I want you to wrap your arms around yourself and give yourself a beautiful big hug and say, I love you.
Hmm. That is
Thank you.
so nice. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, and I love how it doesn't take that long, you know.
No.
It's just kind of slowing down a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, breathing a little bit deeper and then knowing, mm, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
That's quite okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, so we've come to the end of our conversation. And so for if you're listening and you think, oh, I would love to hear and know more about Mandy, you can look it up on the page. She also has a gift that you can contact her for. And on her Facebook page, you have some more of your paintings there, and also some paintings with the ladybugs.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so thank you so much for getting up early
Yes.
for having this conversation.